significant progress have been made with many units nearing completion. For instance, the 1,000 housing units of the 3,000 units in Abuja are set for commissioning by January 2025. This program has created over 250,000 jobs directly and indirectly. Over 47,000 Nigerians have created accounts on this, with over 1,000 have started has paid applications to date. Lagos State has been a key partner. I commend the Lagos State government for its contributions to the renewed Hope City project, funded by the federal mortgage.
All right, thank you very much. Quickly now, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Muiz Banire, SAN, former Honorable Commissioner for Transportation and the Chieftain of the APC. You're welcome, sir. I'd like to call on Dr. Olajide Abiodun, Special Advisor to the Governor on EGIS and Urban Development. And also, to come on stage with him is Dr. Roland Ibinova, Founder, Pearson Housing Company and CEO, Prop Crowdy Limited. Please, a big round of applause for the two of them. Mr. Come on.
So, Mr. Governor, Mr. Deputy Governor, the Honorable Minister, Senators here present, House of Assembly members from Lagos State, the traditional rulers, ladies and gentlemen. So I've been asked to do a presentation on mapping Lagos, insights into urban sprawl and infrastructure deficits. So what I decided to do is to just make this a little bit abstract, so that it's not going to be too technical. So Roland, who is sitting down here, would take care of the technical aspect. So what I'm about to show you is how we can shape a city, and also how the government of Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu and Dr. Kadiri Obafemi Hamzat are actually mapping Lagos and also ensuring that the shape that Lagos has is sustained. I just had the Honorable Minister talk about sustainability. It's us being able to meet our needs without compromising the needs of future generation yet unborn. When we look at maybe books, or we go online, we see that the size of Lagos is about 3,475 square kilometers. But based on our EGIS mapping, we can see that the current size of Lagos today is 3,713.18 square kilometers. And I would like you to clap for Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, because as I speak to you now, we are currently mapping Lagos. The plane arrived 2 weeks ago, and I'm sure Mr. Deputy Governor knows this, even though I didn't have time to discuss this with Mr. Governor. We are now at 90%. We were at 80% before because of bad weather. There's a window between, so the window is from maybe around October, November, December, January, February, March, April. But because of climate change, we are not able to get enough flying time. We only need about 57 hours of flying a plane to actually map the whole of Lagos, which is less than 40-50 square kilometers, even if we had all the water bodies. So, Mr. Governor, thank you very much. By the end of this year, early next year, we're going to have the orthophoto of 2024-2025. The last time this happened was when Mr. Deputy Governor was the Commissioner for Science and Tech, and we had the orthophoto of 2009, which is the only asset that we have really been able to use in the state up to today. So this is like physical mapping. But what I want to show today is how we can actually map our cities. Next slide. So this is Patrick Geddes. So Patrick Geddes is a surveyor and is a sociologist. And he's one of the fathers of planning. Because planning actually came from reasonable thinking. And one of the things that he proposed is survey analysis plan. That before you can have any planned area, you must actually survey that land. And survey goes closely with mapping. So you must survey, That's land surveying. Mr. Governor is the surveyor. You must also do some kind of reconnaissance survey to recognize and see exactly what it is that you are planning for. So we have town planners in the room. We have other professionals who also help us, like engineers, architects, geologists, and the likes, and then you plan. It is not structural adjustment program. So this SAP is Survey Analysis Plan by Patrick Geddes. Next slide. So planning itself is the art and science of ordering the use of land, character, and siting of buildings and communication routes so as to secure the maximum practical degree of economy and convenience and beauty. This is as defined by Louis Kibu. Next slide. So I wanted to show you this. This is Three Magnets. Three Magnets is from Ebenezer Howard. He's one of the people that tried to help us to shape our societies. He was the one that wrote the Garden Cities of Tomorrow. And one of the things that he was saying is that there are three magnets. There are actually two. One is the town. The other one is the country. So the town being the urban area and then the country being the rural area. But he decided to create an ideal society. And this ideal society, what he did was to create what we call the town country, where he has taken all the advantages of our villages. The villages are clean, there's no pollution. And then he has taken all the advantages of the urban city. You have hospitals, you have schools, and he decided to put it in a town country, which is an ideal society. So the question he asked is, where do people go? Which magnet is going to attract more? Is it the town? Is it the country? Is it the town country? At that time, it's the town country. But you see, one of the things that I feel Ebenezer Howard forgot, which is part of the things I've been asked to talk about, is urban sprawl. Because the urban area also works. Like Yoruba people say, that means that what is happening in the village, if we don't take care of it now, very soon we will catch that disease as well. So if you look at like Washington, D.C., between Washington, D.C. and Maryland, or Washington, D.C. and Virginia, what you will see is that there's a sprawl. But the thing that we really need to address is planning. Mr. Deputy Governor was talking about this a couple of weeks ago. It is that planning that we need to take care of. Even when we had the Rethinking Lagos, it is still that planning that we're talking about. Because people thought that the mapping that I was going to come and talk about is the flying that we're doing to tell you how many square kilometers we have done and to tell you when the orthophoto is going to be ready. No, it's a different thing. It's kind of an abstract. So this is the Three Magnets by Ebenezer Howard. Where will people go? Do you understand? Now we're talking about climate change and a couple of other things. Now we need to understand that we need to do things differently. Next slide. So I wanted to just do a little bit of comparison. This is Abuja. So that is the original land use of Abuja. And that's the concept of Abuja by Kenso Tengi. Kenso Tengi is a Japanese architect. He was the one who actually came up with the concept of Abuja. Abuja is 250 square kilometers out of the FCT, which is 9,900 square kilometers. So Abuja is just small. But that is the land use, this is the concept, this is when the development started. Next slide. So, where we have our Lagos house today, is in that, please go back to the slide before. You can see, I did not show Aso Rock here. And then there's one region that just came up. Oh yeah, next slide. So above there, that is where you have Asokoro, where the Lagos house is. But it's an aberration. It was not part of the original master plan. Because what you have there is the Outer Northern Expressway. And on the other side of the Outer Northern Expressway is where we have now created some of these things which are not actually correct. Next slide. So I want to show you what has happened. See, that city was shaped by Kenso Tengi. However, look at what has happened. You can hardly even see, that region on that side where we have the Lagos house. We now have everybody building all around the places that are supposed to be the buffer zone of the city. One of the things that Ebenezer Howard forgot is that you can have urban sprawl. You understand? And we just took it from the textbook and just read it and forgot that we actually need to plan for the future. And that's what was said on this stage today, that Mr. Governor and this government is actually planning not just for today, but planning for the future. So in terms of shaping a city, we need to be careful to make sure that any useful or useless space is planned for. Next slide. So I wanted to talk about the city shape. just very briefly. So Sparrow talked about shaping a city. But one of the things that Sparrow said is that a city is a place that has physical circumcision. That means somebody gave it a name. You understand me? So somebody must say, yes, I was the one who actually came there. I'm going to talk about London. Even London, you understand, when the Germans got there, they were not able to conquer the Thames. When the Italians got there, they were not able to conquer the Thames. It is the inhabitants or the Queen's family or forefathers who were now able to conquer the city of London because of the River Thames. You understand? I will talk about the Thames. Now, the second thing that Sparrow said is that a city is a place that has a source of wealth. There must be something that makes that city to thrive. Otherwise, it can never be a city. You understand? Then the other thing he said is that a city exists in clusters, which means that one city cannot exist alone. Otherwise, it is going to become an island. You understand? So if you have a city, you understand that does business with another city, that's a real city. Another thing that he said is that a city is an unfair place. Because a city is a place where you have exclusion, gentrification, and a couple of other things. There's nothing we can do about it. And a city is a place where there's differentiation of work. Somebody will be a governor, somebody will be governed. Somebody will be a teacher, somebody will be taught. Somebody will be a judge, somebody will be judged. You know, we need to understand this because this is exactly what you find in a city. But you know, one of the most important things that Sparrow said in his book is that a city is a place that has a functional countryside. You know, like Abuja, when Abuja was designed, Kuje was supposed to be where we have the farmland and all of that. The only thing we know Kuje for today is the Kuje prison. You understand? So when you start thinking about it, food is very expensive in Abuja. And that's why you see one of the things that Mr. Governor is doing is building the food logistics hub. He's trying to create a special agricultural zone in maybe 3 or 4 or 5 districts in Lagos. That's part of like mapping the city. Now, the London Thames. The London Thames, this is another book. You know, that's by Sparrow. This is by Gavin. The London Thames, you know, the Thames is the black god. Without the London Thames, there will be no London. You understand? So the Thames barrier goes higher and higher every year. You understand? Without the Thames barrier, there will be no London. London will be underwater. Next slide. Okay, so this is Lagos. You know, and this is the shape of Lagos. You know, it's defined by water. Next slide. I've been able to show a Atlantic city. What we want to do when we finish our auto photo, because I don't want to give you wrong information, is we'll be able to show you the new shape of Lagos when we finish this mapping. Next slide. So I want to do a comparison. So if you don't map infrastructure of street furniture and all those things well, this will not be right. That's a bus shelter on a walkway in Abuja. This is a kiosk that I'm seeing somewhere in Lagos on a walkway. You know, this is not how to map a city. Now that is Abuja. Infrastructure decay that they asked me to talk about. That's a bleeding sewer. So before, I used to call it a bleeding sewer, but now I used to call it a weeping sewer, but it's a bleeding sewer because number 2 is coming out of this thing. So if we don't take care of our infrastructure in Lagos, we will soon have this discharging into the river. So these are things we need to be careful about. Next slide. So I wanted to show this. This is the Abuja Boulevard. I remember that the minister that came after Rifai, Modibo, decided that he was going to have a whole committee on the Abuja Boulevard. The Abuja Boulevard is going towards the Aso Rock, you know, from the original design. But I mean, this may be impossible, and I'll tell you why. Because there are now obstacles on the way, you know, and I'll show you some of those obstacles. Next slide. So you see, you know, it will become a religious crisis if you have to remove the bell tower of the National Economical Center, and that is the Federal Mortgage Bank, which is actually under the control of the Minister of Housing and Urban Development. You understand me? Because if we really need to have this Abuja Boulevard and do the restoration of the Abuja Master Plan, that means we are going to demolish all of these things for us to have that boulevard with trees that looks like Champs-Élysées, where we have shops and then we can walk on the streets, you know, shopping. We need to think about this. Next slide. So this is the Dosemu situation. I'm rounding up. You know, this is Dosemu yesterday. That's before. Next slide. So we started looking at this after the fire. So this is from the model city plan, you know, which has been produced under the supervision of my colleague, that's the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development. You know, next slide. So this is what the Dosemu area will look like according to the Lagos City model plan. So we are now doing a regeneration plan, and our regeneration plan is following this. You know, so there are so many questions that we need to ask ourselves. I will get there. Next slide. So these are two books. You know, this is one book talking about the rail lines. Rail lines are part of the things that shape Chicago today. But somebody else said no, that it is actually the people who decided that the rail line will be there. It's not that the rail line just appeared there. It's not a river. It's not a rock. It's not a natural feature. So it is people. So they call it about Chicago line, the men and women who shaped our city. Next slide. So what do we do? So this is Governor Sanwo-Olu thinking and asking the question, what are we going to do? We must actually regenerate. And people must understand the reason why we need to regenerate. Because the governor, all he's doing is to map Lagos, not just for today, but for the future. And the only thing we need to do is to ensure that we support this administration. How is he mapping Lagos? And I want to show you. Next slide. So the team's agenda. So this is where the team's agenda comes in. So if you are the best planner in the world, you cannot tell me that everything that you see contained in the team's agenda is not exactly what we need to be looking at in urban planning. So you can see it. And then the next slide, which is my final slide, by the way. So I decided to create a matrix, you know, just similar to what Commissioner for Physical Planning did during the Physical Planning Summit, where they talked about rethinking. Do you understand something? Lagos. I'm not talking about reinventing Lagos. So there are some must-haves. There is, I mean, this is not very clear, but you know the must-haves are things like the green line that has just been signed. You know, there are must-haves. It will cost a lot of money. You know, like the film city. You have the medical university. You know, Lagos, maybe Lagos satellite towns. You know, the Fort Mainland Bridge. Those are the money pits. You know, the quick wins are there, like, you know, school renovation and a couple of other things that we're doing today. You know, so this is the time we really need to think about what mapping is. And understand that we have a man, just like the men and women who shaped our city. Governor Sanwo-Olu, Deputy Governor Hamzat, together with their team, are shaping Lagos not only for today, but for the future generation yet unborn. Thank you very much. Last slide.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jide, for building that foundation. I'm just going to quickly touch on three things. I'll stand on existing protocol, Mr. Governor, if you permit me, and Mr. Deputy Governor. Now, what has happened with Lagos? I have a 75-page slide, and I don't think it makes sense to go through it in 10 minutes, so I won't bother. I'll just speak on three things: smart transportation, smart waste management, and smart urban planning, based on what and the foundation that Dr. Jide has built. Now, doing the orthophoto and doing the mapping of Lagos is a major, massive step towards these three things. And I'm going to try and give as much example as possible. So when you talk about smart transportation, just imagine what is already happening, I think, with the carry payment system where you can use your card. Okay, imagine if that transcends to some sort of multimodal transportation system. So which means that whether you are taking the Lagos transport system, or you're taking Uber, or you're taking Bolt, or you're taking the Blue Rail, you have a single payment system that is integrated for every citizen in Lagos State. And what happens with mapping, okay, in terms of smart transportation, is that this helps everybody. And the social impacts are too numerous to get into. Maybe when we have time for questions, I'll get to that place. Now, let me move over quickly to smart waste management. I mean, we saw the huge heap where the governor was thinking, what am I going to do with this? Now, when you talk about smart waste management, today we collect waste maybe on routine basis. But with smart waste management, what happens is that you can actually, with the digital infrastructure, and again, this is where the orthophoto and the mapping that is being done comes into play. Imagine when you have IoT sensors, okay, and you have a digital infrastructure such that when a bin is filling up, that is the only time the truck needs to leave. So the truck doesn't need to drive over everywhere where you have issues about carbon emissions, you have issues about consumption of fuel and all of that. So that's just one component, okay, with smart waste management. You can also just have decomposition of those wastes in different places where government is able to provide some sort of incentives for people just based on how they are managing the waste. So whether you are recycling, whether you are talking about plastic, you are talking about paper, you are talking about bottles, you have a smart waste system that this mapping enables us. What it just means is that for every street or for every community within the Lagos metropolis, you can actually determine when waste is being collected. Okay, and when you come to issue of landfill, with a smart waste management protocol, you would not need smart fill over a period of time. And then the third thing that I wanted to talk about, which is the smart urban planning. The best example to do this is looking at digital twins. Okay, I'm sure most of us understand digital twins in the room. So just take for example today, we have a digital twin of the Ikoyi Bridge. Okay, the data that is generated from a digital twin, again, digital twin is having a virtual replica of a project or a process, or it could be anything. But what I'm saying is that if you took that Ikoyi Link Bridge, you will have a virtual Ikoyi Link Bridge where it enables you to measure footfalls. It enables you to measure the amount of cars, on that road. It enables you to measure even up to the consumption. And this is reimagining Lagos, because we are talking about a population that is today at 22 million people. And so when you look at the mix of these three things, another good example is you take the National Museum, for example. So today, I don't know how many of us have been to the National Museum, but you can actually have, through with the mapping and with the fiscal urban planning, you can actually have a digital twin of the National Museum. And what does that do for you? It means that even people in diaspora can see what's happening in the museum, and that's revenue generation. So I didn't want to waste too much time, as Jide and I have some time to take questions. But again, I just wanted to speak on those three things based on the current mapping that is happening. And we are starting from a very critical point. Now we are working with Last Week in creating the Last Week portal that has happened. And the first thing we want to do is to make sure that we onboard all rent and real estate transactions on the Lasera portal, but feeding from the Last Week portal. And it's only the mapping that has been done that is enabling us to do that. So what you are going to find is that the kind of regulation that we're talking about is smart regulations. Nobody is going to be chasing after you. If you're doing fraudulent transactions, in a few clicks, they'll find you out. So, and that's why this is very, very important in terms. And I just want to say a big thank you to the governor and the deputy governor for this mapping and orthophoto that will take us to reimagining Lagos. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I think speakers deserve a bigger round of applause. At this point, I'd like to invite Mr. Transformer, Mr. Selebu, the governor that has been doing so well in Lagos. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu.
Thank you very much. Please give yourself a big round of applause. I think it's been a very engaging morning and afternoon session. We've got great speakers, we've got great discussants, and we've activated the conversation of Lagos and Nigeria. We'll certainly take it to another level. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Deputy Governor, Dr. Kadiri Obafemi Hamzat, you can see that the day is well far spent. The distinguished Senator of the Federal Republic, who is also the Senator in this senatorial district, Senator Wasiu Eshiloku-Sani, thank you very much. From here, we're going to commission other various road projects. You can invite your other members from the National Assembly to join you, for them to come and see how roads are being built in Lagos and to see the development that you are doing in your senatorial district. Please invite them to come along. The member of the National Assembly, who is also the chairman of the House Committee on Housing, Honorable Abdulmumuni Jubrin, very controversial, but very cerebral and very outstanding. Thank you very much, Chairman, and to other members of the Green Chamber that are here. One of the things that I will say is that you should have kept to the script on the iPhone and not go out of it and create, a controversy around which one has a better urban planning or where does it start from. But we'll always enjoy your witness and your very high cerebral sense of engagement. Thank you very much all the time. To the Lagos State House of Assembly members that are here, from the Chairman of the House Committee on Housing, Honorable Ege, and other members, thank you very, very much. We'll appreciate you. We'll appreciate your intervention at all times. Our Honorable Minister, who has been very patient with us, Honorable Minister for Housing and Urban Development, a real practitioner himself, a professional to be called Architect Ahmed Dangiwa. Thank you very much for the great things you're doing, all your housing intervention, renewed hope, housing estate everywhere in the country. We can see it. It comes from your background and your previous experience, as an house builder, as a resource person in that sector, and we've shown that it's a real fit. It's a square hole inside a square peg inside a square hole. Thank you very much for all your intervention. Cabinet members that are here, thank you very much, especially I don't know what name they call her. The what? Well, the Special Advisor and the Honorable Commissioner for Housing, who indeed has shown us again that they are actually leading that sector. Thank you very much for the great work you're doing. Our royal fathers, the Oni of Ife, a man that I thought he had forgotten how our path crossed about 2 decades ago. Thank you very much. Our royal father, Oba Adeyemi Adeyeye Ogunwusi, the Ojaja, the second Oni of Ife. Thank you very much, Kabiyesi, for continually leading the conversation of the young dynamic population in this country. You are one traditional institution that is refining complete, take around how government and the traditional institutions should be working together. Thank you very much for creating the time to be part of engagements like this all the time. To my own traditional father, the Oba of Lagos, here ably represented by the Okpelua, thank you very much, and all our white cap chiefs that have turned up here in large number. To all the industry practitioners, captains of industry, from the President of the Real Estate Development Association, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam, for your great speech. Roland, as always, thank you very much. To all of our practitioners that are here in large number, that are patiently listening to what Lagos has to do for your sector. Very critical, very important sector. Thank you very much. You have today and tomorrow to come up with a blueprint with what will define how we continue to engage in that sector. I want to thank all of you. I want to continue to encourage you that your sector, as difficult as it is, is very critical, because you certainly also define, how socio-economic being, is about in our economy and in our state. Gentlemen of the press, thank you very much. Distinguished guests, top government functionaries, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that the day actually has been well spent. It's also because we also still have other activities, to pass on to Lagosians today. But I still stand here this afternoon, truly very privileged to be at this important gathering. Together, we are here to evaluate the impact of government's contribution in the real estate sector. We are here to address the challenges that we still face. They are real daunting challenges, and we all want to explore opportunities for innovation and growth. To think that we do not have solutions is to think that a wasted generation. We believe that we have solutions. We are all here to jojo, to engage, to think, to collaborate, to innovate, and to create a society and an environment that will outlive all of us. And so that's why we're here today and tomorrow. And I want to thank you for the large number of people that have turned out into this engagement here today. And so as we negotiate, as we navigate into an era that is marked by rapid technological advancement, shifting economic reality, and urgent environmental challenges, there's certainly a need for us to prepare ourselves for today and for the next generation. And we can only do that by evolving a real estate demand that cannot be overstated. Real estate is not just about structure. It's a cornerstone of any economy. It's indeed a driver of social equality and a critical element for sustainable urban planning. You can see that this year's theme, which Dr. Abatunde and Roland have started talking about extensively, reimaging Lagos landscape and ensuring a sustainable real estate development practice. You see that the topic and the conversations today and tomorrow are not only apt, they truly reflect the challenges and the opportunity that we have in the state. It reflects the real dynamic innovativeness and the competitiveness of Lagos, the resilience of Lagos, the can-do spirit of Lagos, and the possibilities that we all can bath when we think together, when we work together, and when we activate conversations together. We're hoping that the things that will be coming out from here by tomorrow will be the things that will further engage us in this sector for another 1 year. I'm thankful that we've kept faith with this year on year to bring all you here to rethink and to reshape how can we best plan our city, how can we best innovate, how can we ensure that we, in this very small, crowded city-state we call Lagos, how can we best use what nature has given to us? We do it in a resilient and in a sustainable manner. We do it with every sense of responsibility, knowing fully well that it's not about today, it's about creating an organic growth that will ensure that the tomorrow is assured. It's about the future and the future leaders that are coming behind us. And that's why this engagement, this conversation with various stakeholders is always very important. Our political leaders, our traditional institutions, our civil society groups, our lawmakers, all of us are conversing together. And of course, the practitioners. All of us have a role to play. And in that semblance of having roles to play, that will engage and continue to activate our thought process. And so the challenges for us is to rethink our approaches. And I want to say that Lagos, our administration, are one of the first that will always look ourselves straight in the eyes and will accept when there are challenges, when there are problems, when we believe that the solution is not just about ourselves alone, the solution can be passed by all of us working collaboratively together. And that's one of the values that we think we need to have in the real estate sector. Sustainability is no longer a limited environmental conversation. I think it's about creating an ecosystem that support economic growth, that ensures there's social inclusivity, and that will ensure that it achieves an ecological balance. All of these terminologies are not just being used loosely. And I think every great speaker that have come out here this morning into the afternoon has spoken in one form or the other. From our Oni, who started by ensuring and reminding us as a young investor himself, who had seen and gone through the various challenges of how not to build or how not to ensure that you want to cut corners. And he learned his own lessons in a very difficult way, where you've done up to 9, 10 floors, and the system tells you have to bring it all down. We have to bring it all down to ensure that he uses the word heterogeneous land, that he meets all the requirements to ensure that the buildings and the development that he's doing is not only for today, but it meets the requirements of tomorrow. Oni, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for learning that very difficult thing at a very young age. We're believing that there's lots of other practitioners here, as he has come out here to explain his own personal experience. We'll also see the need that if we follow the rules and the rules of engagement, we will certainly not have any issue around building collapse again. He did not wait for his building to collapse. He took the right decision. He brought it down himself, and he did the correct thing. And those are some of the things that we need to live here with. It's not by shorting corners. It's not by ensuring that who gets to the finish line first. It's by ensuring that we do the right thing the first time and all the time. And that's why we're here. That's the line of conversation that we're about here to engage ourselves in and to ask. So, Oni, thank you very much. I continue to respect that backlog of relationship that we've kept. And thank you that you did not take your life. God knows that you have a lot ahead of you. And he's here as our Imperial Majesty. Please, he deserves a round of applause again. And of course, our White Cap Chief, Chief Bajulai, also came up and spoke eloquently well about the place of traditional institution in Lagos. How the Oba of Lagos knows more than any other person the history of land and land administration in Lagos. How he has ensured that Eko Babere, Eko can be a source of wealth, it can be a source of opportunity for everybody that preserves and understands what Eko truly stands for. And that's why we're here, to ensure that the strength of our diversity is in the originality and the appreciation that we can use Lagos as a real testing board to develop our country, to develop our nation into an enviable position that all of us, no matter where you come from, no matter your background, no matter your ethnicity, no matter your religion, you can strive, you can do well, and you can get to the pinnacle of whatever you choose for yourself. And that's what we're seeing in the real estate. And you've seen and you've gotten, a traditional appreciation and acknowledgement from the Bajulaye himself. Of course, my friend and my brother, the Chairman House Committee on Housing, intelligent, cerebral, Honorable Aminu Jibril, for a very long time kept to the script until when he deviated from his very well-written speech. But the point to take note of is the fact that they are willing, the National Assembly, they are willing to bring about regulations, to bring about processes, institutions that can further help develop this sector. Not only in Lagos, not only in Kano that they have said, but almost in every part of the country. And we believe that it's important that they are here to also listen to you as practitioners, as professionals in that sector. The only thing I didn't agree with him is the fact that, the history of planning and town planning dates back from Kano before it got into Lagos. And to tell the story, the colony of Lagos has been in existence before the amalgamation of the Northern and Southern Protectorate of Nigeria. I'm sure you know that. And so the colony of Lagos even dates back before the 1914, conscription of Nigeria. So, and that has helped us to continue to grow that. You know, it's interesting that today we talk about the red line and the blue line. There was a tram in Lagos in the 19th century, in 1894 or so, or thereabout. There was a tram inside of the Lagos Island and it was working. A tram. And that's the kind of history that we're trying to rekindle. That's the kind of resilient, transformative city that we're trying to build. To also commend our Lagos State House of Assembly as well. They are all here in large number. And it's all because they believe in the conversation that we're having here today. They also want to live here well-reached, well-engaged, well-motivated, to understand what the executive are doing and why we need to continue to work together collaboratively. I cannot but commend the effort of also our senator representing Lagos Central, who had also given us, a food for thought and how we need to continue to collaborate ourselves. But I think the conversation this morning, more than ever before, is what the two last speakers talked about. Our special advisor on EGIS, which is on looking at the reimaging of Lagos. But he kept talking about Abuja because they didn't know that he started his planning approval, he started a planning professional life as one of the EGIS experts out of Abuja. And so he can relate very quickly with what has happened in Abuja and what we see in Lagos today. And thank you very much, Roland. Roland started this initiative with us about 5-6 years ago. And you can see when he kept talking about, smart transportation, smart waste management, and smart urban planning. Smart transportation that he talked about is what in reality is what we're currently doing already. Because we have an integrated urban mass transportation system in Lagos that is working. Honorable Minister, it might interest you to know that over 5 million Cowrie card holders are in Lagos. And for that Cowrie card, we have an integrated urban transportation system that people use the card on rail, use it on the BRT buses, they use it on the ferries and the waterways. And so with that, you can also manage and track how resilient the city is, who is going to where, and which will help you in proper urban planning. So it's the back end, analysis of such movement and access into the city that will help future urban planners. Because from the single Cowrie card, you will know where people actually are aggravating to at different times of the day. And that's the kind of smartness that we need to have, going forward in the city. He talked about smart waste management. It makes a lot of sense, and we're on that conversation. Because very, very soon, not only will we have, an integrated waste management, efficient, effective working system in Lagos, we are actually, taking destiny into our hands, working with collaborators, both local and international operators, to ensure that we can have an efficient, effective waste management system that takes care of not only the solid waste, waste disposal processes, our water, water needs and water adequacy in Lagos. And because these are some of the clear indices that determines the livable standard, how resilient the city is, how well our urban planners are doing to ensure that what makes Lagos competitive, what makes Lagos stand with other cities in the world. And the last one, which is a smart urban planning, is also what Dr. Babatunde has talked about. How well do we want to regenerate our major cities? We had a huge fire outbreak in Dosumu, and we're not in a hurry to rebuild because it's an opportunity for us to regenerate. We've taken the entire stretch of Pelewura Market. We've taken the entire stretch of Gorodo Market, Mobadeje Market, because it's an opportunity for us to do complete regeneration. Kabesi, White Cap Chiefs, I'm sure you've seen it. You know that the regeneration of Lagos Island will happen in your time. The regeneration and the rebirth of Lagos Island, you will see it in your own time. And that's what we're doing in a meticulous means. The Suri senator is from that neighborhood. The regeneration, so we're not about displacing people. We're about ensuring that we can use our land spaces very well. We can regenerate for today and for the generations that are coming behind us. In Lagos Island today now, we've just given approvals to rebuild another 9-8 internal roads from Ojogiwa to the extension of Adeniji Adele all the way to Gadugoro. The Jankara and the Bombata market that we're doing there, we're going to its complete regeneration. That's how it happens. They're just showing me today, thank you, they're just showing me today the drainage that we've completed that will take the entire swamp water from the outskirts of outer marina, that will take it into the lagoon. We just opened the full drainage today. That's the only way we can make this city safe and secure for ourselves. And so when we talk about the Lekki corridor to be the fastest growing corridor in the entire sub-Saharan Africa, it's also because we want to plan and want to do the right things. It's also because when we see us completely move road infrastructure from the place, from 2 lanes, we're building 6 high lanes. From not having any other means of transportation, we're taking the green line to that corridor. So it is part of the patience and the collaboration that we want from all of you. So when we say to you that slow down, let us understand what we're doing. How well do you want to develop in that whole corridor? So that you see what our own plans are. It's all part of ensuring that the Lagos can work for you. You can have predictable journey time. You can have a city that will meet the needs of today and will also be able to ready and meet the needs of tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. And so I want to assure you that we're remaining steadfast, we remain committed as a government, we're really ready to listen to you, to work with you, to collaborate with you as professionals, so that we can develop this city together. We can cohabit and we can readjust within the 3,665 square kilometers that we have. The whole place is being built up. And like he showed us from the master plan, we don't have any other place to go to outside of the Lagos Lagoon and Atlantic Ocean. Is to push back and move into Ogun State. And we're doing that and we're doing it very well. So the conversations that we're taking away, is to ensure that all of you and all of the discussions that is going to happen later today and tomorrow will be how can we use urban planning as a winning tool, not just to save our city, but to be able to plan for a resilient and a livable city of the future. A city that for the next 20 to 30 years might be the 3rd or the 4th largest city in the world. Well, it's really not just to clap, it's to come with all of the challenges that will birth. It's for us to be able to think and be able to absorb the shocks of such developments. It's for us to ensure and appreciate that the climate change and our ability for adaptation and adaptable strategy is real. I can see the Special Advisor, SGD and Climate Change nodding her head. Is to ensure that we are in compliance. Is to ensure that carbon emission, carbon footprints, as much as we can reduce it, to build a city of the future are part of the conversations that we're having. As much as possible, where we're ensuring that our EGIS data mapping from the offices in Alausa or from your own comfort of office, you can see what level of development is happening in various parts of the city. And we can predict and plan ahead so that we're not just living and working around slums and blighted areas. For me, that's what I believe this whole engagement today and tomorrow should be. For me, this is what I believe this large audience and the large turnout of professionals that have come here should be taken away. For me, this is what I believe a collaborative and an engagement between the public sector and the private sector in this industry should be doing. And you can see that the array of the people that have turned out here today, it means that the public sector people are ready. From the entire leadership of our various houses in Abuja to the leadership in the states. So it's the private sector, quite frankly, that you all need to work with us and also be ready. We believe that together we can truly build a real estate system that works for everyone. We believe that together we can develop a workable ecosystem that will make Lagos not just a signature of our country, but will make it an enviable city that all of us will be proud of. And so let us go out there. Let us engage ourselves. Let us come out with solutions and with conversations that will make Lagos the truly envisioned greater African model city that we keep talking about. Thank you very much. And I wish this conference the very best. And I officially now declare it open. And I'm believing, I'm hoping that the outcomes after tomorrow will be to improve the quality of La Serera and real estate engagement in the state. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If you want to clap, please clap very well. Whatever we do in Lagos, we do it very well. Thank you very much, sir. The next time I'll ask Mr. Governor to stand up will be when he's taking a view of the stands, and I'll invite the top table to please come forward first and foremost to take a group photograph. When we take the group photograph, then we'll go around. When I called Mr. Governor the transformer, someone said our electricity is not functioning. Then I reminded the person that whatever Mr. Governor touches works. So since he's Mr. Transformer, our transformers will begin to function very well. And I can assure you very soon, with the new bill signed by Mr. Governor, we'll begin to have 24 hours
of the Lagos
electricity.
State Regulatory Authority Marketplace Conference and Exhibition in Victoria Island, Lagos.